have great vision and purpose and design for such a time as this. This is a great moment for each one of you, and I'm so happy to be here. I met Deja. She came out to our shopping center, and I just kind of started telling her a little story because we have, on the side of my shopping center, I created a space called Reflection Garden, and it was supported.
You have to bring the microphone a tiny bit closer.
Right here?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
You're okay. Thank you. So I created a shopping center I created a space at the shopping center on the side of our building that's called the Reflection Garden. And that space I created to honor our grandmother, who was a race massacre survivor that lived to tell her story back in 99 and 2000. For her and so many that told their story back in 99 and 2000, because I felt like without their voice, we wouldn't be where we are today in the level of education that we are in knowing about Black Wall Street. So that space was so that when people come, you can scan a QR code and it brings up those interviews back from 2000 and those individuals sharing their stories. Now they're gone to glory and they left great deposits, but I wanted people to hear their story directly from them. So the space was regarding them sharing their personal story. So I like to, this is my husband's grandmother, and I like to say, we're able to tell her story, but can't no one share her story like her. And so that's why we have the QR codes. So when Deja came out, we were able to share the Reflection Garden. And so just to kind of give you a little background, Mama Gibbs was 17 years old when the race massacre happened. She wasn't a baby. She wasn't a toddler. She wasn't a small kid. She was well enough to know. In fact, she was 17 years old studying for a test when someone started beating on the door. And they said, you got to get out, they're burning down Greenwood. She had to pack her and her family, her siblings, her mother, her grandmother. They just ran out and they left everything there, escaping the massacre. And I tell this story, but I want you guys, when I'm telling you the story, I want you to remember the story in a different lens as I go. So as tragic as it was, and as they were escaping, this is a 17-year-old girl who has her whole future ahead of her studying for a test. And so I don't know how many of you have siblings, have children, but can you imagine something that horrific happening to them at that stage and age in their life, right? And so as they were escaping, they ran into a white man who was in a truck. And he ended up putting them in the truck. And they hid in the truck and he took them off so that they could hide and get away. But when they returned back to nothing but rubbish. Everything was gone. There was nothing there as she tells her story, but still. She tells a story that she never thought that she would stay in Tulsa. But I'm here to tell you today, not only did she stay in Tulsa, they built back Booker T High School. She went back to school. She graduated from Booker T High School. She went off now, it's called Langston, to the African American College and became an educator. She came back to Tulsa where she thought she would never come back to. And she began to teach. And in fact, she retired from Tulsa Public School, teaching our children for 40-something years. Can we give her a hand? So I like to tell the story based on resiliency. Based on resiliency, because it took resiliency in her as 17 years old to take all of that impact and do something different. So when we talk about revival, I like to talk about, I have an acronym called REVIVE, which is a call for revival. So when we talk about revival, I think about Mama Gibbs, and I think about how it took resiliency, the revival of resiliency, for her to make it through something like that. Not only make it through, but become an educator, to teach for over 40 years. Not only to teach over 40-something years our children, but also then she retired, and when she retired, she took her retirement, and her husband began to build businesses. And they began to build businesses across North Tulsa. In fact, the shopping center that we own today was the shopping center that they owned 50 years. And they had a laundromat there, a grocery store there. They had a candy store. And those that's from Tulsa, they always come tell their stories about how they learned how to count because of the candy store, how they learned economics because of Mr. and Mrs. Gibbs, how they taught the kids knowledge. In fact, that we found the box of IOUs when they passed away, where people come buy groceries and didn't have the money, and they would do what they call IOUs. we found a box of them where they never collected on them. Now, the running joke between my husband and I is every time we get broke, we're like, we're going to start collecting on something. But that was a story, but her story is a story. When I talk about the Race Massacre, I talk about it as an impactful way of resilience. And so those of you that are here, I want you to understand the R for revival and revive is for resilience. All of us have a story of resilience. It may come from your grandmother. It may come from you. It may come from one of your family members, but all of us have a story of resilience. And resilience is when you can take that story and you can think back of the power that you gained from the story, not the tragedy, but the impactful power that you made it through something that horrific, right? Because if you made it through that, you can make it through the next thing, right? And so even in your stories of development and developing your businesses, and all of us go through this, trust me, my husband's father sold a shopping center, and I heard God speak to me about 12 years later in prayer that we would have the shopping center back. Now, I had no money, didn't have a clue, like, okay, God said in prayer, we're going to get the shopping center back. That's a whole nother story. But I'm here to say that we, through God's efforts, we ended up buying the shopping center back after 12 years of it being out of our family. And so, so for the past 10 years, because the shopping center sat for 3 years, dilapidated, I've spent 10 years of my life. Now, God told me in prayer that it would take 10 years to redevelop the shopping center. I may have had a little question about that. But I would spend 10 years redeveloping a shopping center, redeveloping North Tulsa, and helping others as far as building their business and inspiring them to continue to be creative in what they know God's placed in their heart as well. So when you think about those kind of things, understand the strength of your resiliency, the strength of your story, and understand that whatever you might be designing, whatever you might be creating, be it an art piece, be it a project, be it a graphic design, whatever it might be, understand that every point of that you may think you have a failure, you have a story of resilience. And so I want to say that in those things, because even with me, for the past 10 years, trust me, my mom can tell you, I have gone through some emotional moments, trust me. I have gone through some emotional moments, and you will go through emotional moments as you're building your business, as you're building your design, as you say this with me. I will go through some emotional moments. How many can testify to that? But I want you to know that you're not your emotions, though. That's just the process of you going through. You're not the emotions. So the E in revive is emotions. And I want you to understand you're not your emotions. I think about Thomas Edison, creating a light bulb. He says in a quote, he says that basically he didn't fail. He said he tried 10,000 times and didn't fail once. Because every time that everyone else would think it was a failure, he said it was an opportunity to let him know to do something different. So I want you to know, I don't know where you are in your business or your development or your creativity or whatever. Understand that each one of those times that you may feel emotional about it, this is not going to work, I'm not going to get the funding, I don't understand, I'm not going to get the open door, I don't know how to do this, every time you have those emotions, understand those emotions are not emotions of failure. They're emotions to let you know of what you can do different. And you're going to take that and you're going to be able to craft that up to decide what can you do different. So revival happens to give you the emotional space. It gives you that emotional space, but it's not your steering wheel, right? So remember that. It's that emotional space to kind of navigate you through and say, not that, not that, no, maybe not that. It's just steering you through the process. So every time you start having those weird, overwhelming anxiety emotions, know it's just steering you in the right direction. Know that emotion is steering the right direction. Where is it steering you to? It's steering you to the V in revive. It's steering you to your vision. So I want you to take that emotion and I want you to go back and revisit the vision. Because a lot of times we get so busy in what we're doing and how we're doing and the things that we're developing and creating and trying to meet new people and navigating, we actually forget the true vision of what we started with. And all of a sudden we're out here on an island by ourselves and not remembering the true vision. So I want to bring you back in and remember that true vision. I want you to get the vision in your mind. Let that be the pathway and the light to push you forward. Your vision, the original thing that you thought of and how you felt like this is what I know I was supposed to design to do. Get that back into your mind and hold tight to that. And then the I is for innovative. Innovative. I want you to know that when you go back and you revisit that vision and you remember all of the things that you've gone through, you're going to find some broken pieces, some broken places, spaces, some friendships you lost, money that you, Lord Jesus, money that you lost. You're going to find those things, right? You're going to see all of those broken things, all those things of heartache and pain and all of that. But you're going to be innovative with it. You're going to be innovative. You're going to take those broken pieces and you know what you're going to do? You're going to begin to sift through them and you're going to find what didn't break. What didn't break? You got some things that didn't break in you. You may not have all your money, but you at least got probably 2 cents. You got some money, right? You got some things that's yet in you. So I want you to go and find those things that didn't break. And I want you, once you find those things that didn't break, I want you to take something and I want you to begin to redevelop that and do something different with those things. And say, how can I take this to do that? Because all of those things is just to help navigate you to the actual purpose of where you need to be. Okay? And then the V in revive is your voice. A lot of times when we've gone through things that we've gone through, our voice gets quieted. We stop talking with positivity and strength. And you remember when you first got that idea, you went and told everybody, and everybody started telling you it didn't work? Yeah. And then when you hit all the obstacles, you start believing what they said, that it didn't work. But I want you to regain your voice, because that's your personal truth. That's your personal truth. That voice is your personal truth. I don't want you to whisper anymore. I want you to start declaring through your voice what it is. Even if you got to be in the mirror declaring it to yourself. Come on. I want you to declare what it is. Regain your voice. And then the last is E, evaluate. Revival isn't random. It's not random. You have to evaluate those things. You have to go in and evaluate everything. And sometimes evaluation can be heavy when you're evaluating. But I promise you today, as you are evaluating those things, what you're doing is you're taking into account, again, the things that worked and didn't work. Remember Thomas Edison, that there is no failure. There is no failure. It's just letting you know what you can do differently. So don't allow life to derail you. Don't allow circumstances to derail you. Don't even allow your money and finances to derail you. Because I promise you, if you steady the course and continue to remember these things, you will press through to the other end. And the goal is not what you're focused on. It's the process that you're focused on. Because if you can gain the process, you can always reduplicate the process. Because I'm telling you, once you have developed that, once you have built that, once you have created whatever it might be, guess what? You're going to do something else afterwards. You're just not going to stop. I hope you're not going to stop. You're going to continue to create and develop. So take the process of it all. All right? Well, that's all that I have for you today. I just have handouts for you just so you can take with you, just to remind you of what I said as just a sweet reminder, okay? And thank you for having me.